Well, the president and lawmakers across the country are expressing their grief after Tuesday's mass shooting at a Texas elementary school that left 21 people dead. While signing an executive order on police reform yesterday, President Biden expressed the urgent need for Congress to pass gun reform legislation. Our senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe is joining us now with the very latest on all of this. Ed, good morning. Listen, I am trying not to sound cynical here, and I believe that the emotions that we've heard coming from many of these politicians, I believe the emotions are sincere, but you and I know that often we see very little movement on this issue.
Yeah, and once again, this tragedy has revealed all too familiar divides over what exactly to do, if anything. And yesterday, Governor Abbott's insistence that it's the scourge of mental health across Texas and not a need for stricter gun laws sparked what we can definitely call a unique political confrontation.
Sit down and don't play this.
The next shooting is right now, and you're doing nothing.
No.
In the midst of a news conference led by Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott on the Uvalde shooting, suddenly his Democratic opponent, Beto O'Rourke, rose to confront him.
This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium.
Local officials, including the mayor of Uvalde, called to get him kicked out.
I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
This is not the place to do it. This is on you until you choose to do something.
O'Rourke, who trails Abbott in polls and called for a ban on military-style assault weapons during his failed 2020 presidential bid, later explained why he showed up.
We've got to stand up to this, or we just accept this theater and business as usual, and we accept the next shooting.
And in Washington, Senate Democrats say they'll try again to pass gun safety legislation already passed in the House.
Please, damn it, please, think if it was your child or grandchild.
But the legislation lacks the necessary support, as many Republicans say gun restrictions won't stop mass violence.
Any weapon is dangerous. Any firearm is potentially dangerous in the hands of a deranged lunatic. At the end of the day, the issue here is not the firearm.
The Texas shooting coincided with a previously scheduled confirmation hearing for Stephen Dettelbach to lead the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, an agency that investigates gun crimes and hasn't had a permanent boss in 7 years.
I vow to never let politics in any way influence my action as ATF director.
As for Governor Abbott, he's scheduled to attend the National Rifle Association's previously scheduled meeting in Houston that begins on Friday. Former President Donald Trump is also scheduled to be there, but Abbott's office won't confirm whether the governor still plans to appear, Anne-Marie.
So, Ed, just ever so slight departure. The president spoke yesterday while he was signing police reform, an executive order on police reform. Just to remind people, not police reform legislation, which had been talked about. This is an executive order, and the legislation on police reform has stalled like many things. While he was doing that, though, he said that he would, along with the First Lady, be traveling to Texas to meet with some of the victims' families. Do we know anything more about that plan?
We don't. We may learn more about it later today, Anne-Marie, but we do know this. Whenever he makes the visit, it'll be at least the 19th time that a president has had to visit a community rocked by a mass shooting like this since the 1999 Columbine High School shooting in Colorado.
We got to know the numbers. It's a stark reminder. You mentioned in your reporting that Senate Democrats will try again to pass gun safety legislation that already passed in the House. When might we see a vote on any of that?
You're going to see some procedural moves start today ahead of the holiday break for Memorial Day. There is a sort of a, well, in some respects, a semi-related bill regarding domestic terrorism that the House had also passed. And this is a bill designed to address the concerns of or the rise of white supremacist-inspired attacks like the one in Buffalo most recently. There's been legislation that's been sitting there for a few months. The House finally got through just last week that would essentially establish offices at the Departments of Homeland Security and Justice to better track domestic extremism. In the course of moving that bill forward potentially today in the Senate, and there's no guarantee it will, they may also try to move forward some other House-passed legislation regarding gun safety. But again, the magic number in Washington these days is 60. 60 votes don't exist for these bills right now as they exist in the Senate. The other thing to watch for, Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, a Democrat who, of course, has been quite vocal on his push to get gun reform legislation passed, has asked for about 10 days worth of time to talk to fellow Republicans to see if there's anything they could possibly do in the realm of gun safety. Leader Schumer has said he'll give them that time, but as you said earlier, don't hold your breath.
Republican lawmakers like Senator Rubio often say that the issue, it's not firearms. So what do they say the issue is, and are they doing anything to address what they believe is the true problem?
Look, this is a perfectly valid and related element of this debate, the idea of what is it that is sparking the anger or the desire to commit this kind of crime, and what, if anything, can be done at the federal level to try to help people who get so angry or so determined to commit this kind of violence. For years, Democrats and Republicans have talked about boosting funding for mental health, making sure that there are enough resources available to cities and states, to school districts, to colleges, to communities that need it, to help reach people who get so desperate, get so sick, that they decide to do something like this. The other element of it, too, is the ongoing debate over policing social media. Given that in recent history, so many of these shooters have expressed their anger, their desire to do this, have signaled they're going to do it online, and may have been inspired by things they read or saw or watched online as well. So you, in essence, have three different tracks that could ultimately, quote, do something to address this. It's not just gun safety. It's mental health. What is it that's causing people to get so upset and so sick, and then try to do something about it? Can something be done to treat those people, to catch those people sooner? And then also, you know, the way that they're learning about this, the way they're channeling that rage before they pick up a weapon, social media. Should something be done there? All of this, again, has been the subject of bipartisan, protracted talks for years. It's just we're in an era where Congress can't seem to get agreement on things unless there's a crisis staring them right in the face. This arguably is a crisis staring them in the face, but it's one that they just haven't been able to solve.
So the other thing I learned over the past 24 hours or so is that the ATF hasn't had a director in a long time, in a number of years. What are the chances that a director is appointed anytime soon? And I was sort of wondering, what's the impact of that on the ATF?
Well, and again, this is the agency that helps investigate gun crimes, so it gets caught up in gun politics as well, and that's part of why there hasn't been a permanent leader since 2015. In this case, the current nominee may have a better shot at it than the last one that President Biden nominated. Remember, the man he nominated before was somebody who was associated with some of those gun control groups that had propped up in the years since the Sandy Hook shooting. Because of that, there were actually Democratic caucus members who said they had concerns about his position and couldn't support him because of how it would affect those that are legal gun owners and hunters. In this case, those same moderate Democrats, and in this case specifically it was Angus King of Maine, the independent. You'll have to look at the votes or the potential support of Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema and a few others as well. They have not yet said that they are opposed to him, so we'll see. And again, you're in an environment where you need 50+1. If all members of the Democratic caucus are on board and he gets out of the Judiciary Committee in the coming weeks, the ATF could have a director. The effect of permanent political leadership is a clear mission for these agencies, an ability to get the money they need, and the attention of the White House when necessary. You could argue, for example, the FDA went too long without permanent political leadership in recent years. Look at the issues they've had with the pandemic, the baby formula crisis, and other issues. That's why here in Washington, those that track the bureaucracy always say, President's got to put permanent political leadership in charge of these agencies as quickly as possible to give them direction, to give them political clout, representation in Congress, and the ability to get what they need.
Right. Ed O'Keefe, thank you so much.